Hi, in this video we will explain the goal of every Talmudic debate and also how to dissect the Talmudic debate into its parts based on the purpose of each statement. The goal of a Talmudic debate is to decide about a proposition, a proposed idea, whether to see if it's true and accept it, or it's false and therefore reject it. The decision-making process is based on claims both for and against the proposed idea. Accordingly, the discussion is broken down into 7 component parts. And furthermore, the Ramchal tells us that this is true of every discussion and every Talmudic debate. There are proposed ideas which are traditional teachings like the Mishnahs. There's explanations which are explaining some proposed ideas, some traditional teaching. There are inferences, there are narratives. Narratives means explaining something somebody else said, something somebody else thought, something that had happened. That was number 1. And that's our main focus. Number 2, there are questions, asking for information about usually the proposed idea. Number 3, there are answers, which is the supplying of the requested information, filling out our understanding of the proposed idea. 4th, there are proofs. These are claims supporting the idea. 5th, contradictions. They're strong claims against the idea. 6th, obligations. There are also claims against the idea, showing that something isn't quite exactly right with the idea. And lastly, 7th, there are solutions. Solution is a defense of the idea by either reconciling or dismissing the objection. So now let's take a discussion from everyday life and use the 7 components to dissect it and see the structure of the discussion. Then I'll show you that the structure of this discussion is the exact same as the famous Gemara that we all are familiar with. Here, parents are discussing their upcoming summer vacation. The father says, he gives us the proposed idea. Our summer vacation should be with the whole family. That's what we're going to focus on. The mother asks the question, I want information. What did you mean? When you were talking about our summer vacation, when exactly were you talking? Father supplies the answer. I mean 2 weeks in August. That can't work, the mother attacks. If you're talking about the first 2 weeks, the younger kids are still going to be in camp. And if you're talking about the 2 later weeks of August, the older kids already have to be back to school. That would be a contradiction. She contradicts the 2 weeks in August the father proposed. Now he comes back and he removes the contradiction. I was only talking about a local trip. That's all I had in mind. I wasn't talking about a trip flying to Israel. A local trip, we can drive the older kids to school, and we all can be together for 2 weeks in August. He rejected the contradiction by showing that he had a specific idea in mind. Now you'll see that the structure there in that discussion of 5 steps, a proposed idea, a request for information, supplying the information, giving an answer, a contradiction and the removal of the contradiction, those 5 steps, we have a Gemara that has the exact same structure. In the beginning of Bava Metzia, the Mishnah says, these are the findings that the finder can keep. And these are those findings that he has to return back by announcing them. The Mishnah continues, if he finds scattered produce, the finder can keep them. The Gemara wants to focus on that. That was going to be our proposed idea, making it the idea in question. The Gemara is working to make this idea understandable. In that sense, it's a proposed idea. The Gemara asks, how much produce is considered scattered produce? We have the question. An answer is supplied. A kav of produce over an area of 4 amos. That amount of produce in that sized area is considered scattered produce. The Gemara attacks. That can't be. That scattered produce is just a relationship between an amount of produce and an amount of space. Why? Because if the produce had fallen unintentionally, then even more produce in a similar area would be able to be kept by the finders. And if the produce had been intentionally placed there by the original owner, then even less produce in the same area cannot be kept by the finder. So that's a contradiction. The Gemara removes that contradiction, rejects it, by saying, no, you're right if you're talking generally. But the Mishnah was not talking generally. It was talking about a specific circumstance. So that measure of a kav of produce in that amount of space is an acceptable answer. We'll have the law of the Mishnah. Where's that case? That's on the threshing floor. When the produce is left on the threshing floor by the owner, only in that relationship is the amount of produce over that amount of area can he keep it. We've seen that a discussion of a Talmud can be broken down into these 7 parts. And it's true also of discussions in life. The more you begin to hear and listen to discussions around you, and you can see the 7 parts, say, hey, I know what just happened there. That person had an objection, and that person solved it. The more you do it in everyday life, the stronger you'll get in your learning, and the stronger you'll get in your general thinking.